All right, what's up, YouTube? Listen, I know I'm late with the video, okay? I know it's been about good 4 days, 4 or 5 days now since we learned that Canelo Alvarez vacated his WBC title, okay? I'm a little late, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not very motivated to do videos like this. We just came out of a weekend of the Perfecting and Wilder fight not happening, okay? Um, and that was really bad news because I really wanted to see that fight, okay? Um, but now we go into a new week, and now we're discussing another fight that's probably not going to happen. Okay, at least not anytime soon. All right. I'm gonna be honest with you. Not until recently, I didn't think the fight was going to happen anyway. All right. Um, but it was a little hope there because after Canelo beat Khan, people were really demanding the fight. Especially because of the post-fight interview and everything. And people really believe, including myself, I just didn't think Canelo would just get rid of the title. All right, I didn't think so. I thought if the fight didn't happen again, the WBC would give him another pass for some strange reason. Even though Golovkin has been stepping aside for the title for a while now. Agreeing to take interim fights and everything. Even though he's been a mandatory for a while. I thought there was going to be some crazy, weird stipulation on why the fight does not happen and why Canelo doesn't get stripped, okay? It didn't happen this time. Canelo did vacate the title, right? Now, I am disappointed. I do feel that Canelo ducked Triple G, all right? He ducked Triple G, okay? Do I think the fight is going to happen? Do I think the whole we're still negotiating? I think it's bullshit, okay? Why still negotiate at this point? We know Golovkin is not going to come down to 155. He wasn't going to come down to 155 for the title. He's not going to do it now just just to make the fight just for the hell of making it. Golovkin, as far as I'm concerned, he's been elevated to lineal WBC champion now. Okay, so I don't see why he would come down now because we know Canelo does not plan on moving up from 155. His team said he's not going to move up to 160 or from 155 in a couple of years. He's going to continue fighting at this catchweight. So why even bother taking that fight? If Golovkin didn't come down and wait before to do it, why is he going to do it now? He doesn't have to. He already has the titles. He want to be, as far as what I'm basing everything off of what they're saying. As far as I'm concerned, Gennady Golovkin, his main priority is to become an undisputed champion, which I think he should continue, trying to get these fights and get these belts. He only has the IBF to go or the WBO to go for. So he should stick to doing that. He should not go up in weight. He should keep fighting, try to get the Saunders fight. If he gets the Jacobs fight next, get the Saunders fight, unify the titles, become undisputed, and that's that. Go for wherever you want to go after that. Get whatever fight you want to get, but become undisputed. At this point, you're so close. You have 3 of the major titles. Just get that last one. Now, I'm mad. I'm upset. But at the same time, I'm glad Canelo vacated the title. We all know he never really wanted to fight Golovkin, okay? There's no point of just keep prolonging this whole thing with the belt. I'm tired of the belt getting passed around between fighters that's not even at 160. Can you imagine if Amir Khan actually won that fight and he was crowned the lineal middleweight champion? Another guy moving up from 147, is not even 154, but 147, fighting and never fought a middleweight and actually holds the middleweight title. It would have been another mess, okay? And then we would have another interim fight, and it just was going to keep going and going and going. Golovkin was never going to get his opportunity. So I'm glad he vacated the title. Just like I was glad when Billy Joe Saunders openly said, I'm not ready for it. Regardless of what he's saying now, he's calling out Golovkin now. But I'm glad Billy Joe Saunders straight up said, I don't want to fight the guy because even though it's still a duck, and he's still avoiding it, at least he came out and said it instead of going on this wild goose chase and making up excuses on why he's not going to fight Golovkin. I'd rather guys just be straightforward, all right? I still think Canelo wasted a little time with fighting Amir Khan. But look, it was, according to the numbers, the pay-per-views did well. These guys made a lot of money. So it is what it is. I believe that fight was a showcase fight. and nothing else. All right. A lot of other people thought that it was a real, true competitive fight, and it worked well for them because the pay-per-views, based on the numbers that I'm seeing back and forth, they didn't do too bad. All right. But I mean, listen. At this point, there's a lot of guys on YouTube that already did a bunch of videos. Like Fight Critic did a good one where he did a list of fighters that both fighters should take, which I totally agree with. I don't remember everyone he said because it's been a couple of days now, but he made a good video. But one thing I did want to touch on, there's a couple of things I wanted to touch on. As far as the fighters that each should face at this point, since they're not going to fight each other, probably not going to fight each other, okay? Tito Garcia, YouTube channels, make sure you subscribe to him. Shout out to him, okay? Tito Garcia made a point about Saunders, all right? I do think the Saunders fight is a possibility. I did think that was a possibility for Canelo, not Golovkin, but Canelo before. When it comes to Canelo Alvarez and determining who he's going to fight with, you pretty much got to figure out which fighters are willing to come down to 155. Okay, which fighters are going to do it, It's not too many fighters that I think would. Lemieux, I think that's a high possibility, okay? They're both Golden Boy fighters, and I think the Lemieux fight is definitely probably the fight that makes the most sense, okay? If Lemieux can get down to a catchweight, or if they can agree to some catchweight in between 160 and 155, I think the fight will definitely happen. But the Billy Joe Saunders fight, I think that is very possible. It's very possible because Billy Joe Saunders have something Golovkin wants, okay? And we know that if Billy Joe Saunders had the opportunity to fight either one, he's probably going to take Canelo. The fight is not as tough, but Canelo is the bigger name, okay? The bigger draw. So it would make sense for Saunders to fight Canelo. The only thing is Billy Joe Saunders willing to fight at a catchweight? That's the one question, all right? I hope, me in my opinion, being a little salty over Canelo, I hope Saunders don't pick Canelo. I hope Saunders fight Golovkin and stick to 160. Okay, I think I'm tired of this catchweight thing. I think Canelo is just sticking at 155 because he's afraid to move up and fight Golovkin and be up there at 160 because the pressure would be even further added if he was actually sitting at the correct weight at 160 and not fighting Golovkin, okay? There would be no excuse then not to fight Golovkin. Now that he chooses to stay at 155, he's doing it because of Golovkin. And I feel it's mainly because of Golovkin because I personally think, I know he hasn't fought real middleweights, but I personally think Canelo could beat the middleweights, the guys at 160. I personally think so, all right? I made a video a long time ago. You can check it out about Canelo and the middleweight division. I made that video like 2 years ago. Right? And I still believe Canelo would be a solid middleweight, I think he'd be even better because he wouldn't have to worry about cutting down the weight so much, okay, if he fought at 160. But because Gennady Golovkin is there, I personally believe he doesn't want to go up there to fight. I mean, yeah, he want to have a size advantage over guys. You can make that argument. A lot of people say that. Fine. But I still think that the talent and the skills between the fighter at 160 and the fighters at 147 and 154, if you take out the size advantage that the guys at 160 obviously have, I think the fighters at 154 and 147 are just more skilled than the guys at 160. If we're not talking Gennady Golovkin, okay? We're talking Saunders, Jacobs, which is two are very good fighters, very good. The Andy Lees, the Peter Quillins, all those guys. I just believe that the guys at 154 and 147 are a little bit more skilled. They're just smaller guys, in my opinion, all right? But I personally I would hope that Saunders don't want to come down and wait. If Saunders fight Canelo, I just hope he doesn't agree to it, I mean, it would make sense. He'll make a lot of money, obviously. You're fighting a star and you get the opportunity to beat Canelo. It would be big for Billy Joe Saunders, a fight that I would think it would be a 50-50 fight, all right? But I'm just tired of the catch weight. I'm tired of the 155 thing, and it's just, you know, I don't know. I hope no middleweight comes down. You know, if Canelo chooses to fight at 155, then he can fight his guys at 154 or 147. If guys like if Pacquiao is gonna agree to come up, or whoever, you know, if he fights one of the top guys at 160 or 154, fine. But this catchweight thing is getting a little too ridiculous, man. Is guys are taking, you know, the thing with the catchweights, and I know they've been around for some time, but guys like Canelo is using the catchweight as an advantage, as a complete advantage, instead of using it as a way to meet in the middle. You know, it's not like a guy in one division is fighting, you know, a guy at 160 and a guy at 147. They want to make the fight and they want to make it equal, and they both meet at the middle at 154. We're not getting that. Okay, we're getting, it's all about draining the other fighter, and that's why I don't like the whole thing with Canelo and his catchweight, because he's fighting 1 pound, literally 1 pound over the junior middleweight division, because he clearly can't make the weight anymore. He can't make the weight anymore. He can't do it. So he's using it as an advantage for every single fight that he's in. And I just don't like that. We know that there's A size and there's cash cows, and I understand that, but you're using it specifically to drain fighters. And I know Cotto did it with Daniel Gill. I understand that. He's using it to drain fighters. But it's not like they're meeting in the middle. It's like he wants them to come down at his weight that fits him every single fight. You know, it's not one fight. All right, people really want this fight, so we're going to meet in the middle. No, he's literally draining middleweights to come down to fight him. Or, you know, it's suiting him only. And I just don't like that, okay? And I hope Saunders doesn't come down and do it. You know, if you're going to fight Saunders, fight him straight up. Fight him at his best to prove that you beat him at his best. You know? I'm not, you know, if the catchweights happen, I don't like catchweights, okay? But if they happen, then make it fair where it kind of works out for both fighters. Not to a point where it's just all advantage for Canelo. I think he's taking it a little too far with this Canelo weight thing. All right, so that's my opinion. And if he fights Saunders, if Saunders comes down to 155, Canelo beats him, and which I think he will. If Saunders comes down to 155 and fight Canelo, I think Canelo wins the fight. Okay, it will go to decision. I think it'll be a tough fight, and Canelo will win the fight, you know, in my opinion. And then he'll have another middleweight title, and then Gennady Golovkin will have to go through the same thing with trying to get that fight, and Golovkin won't become undisputed, which he should, you know. I mean, listen, at least Golovkin is fighting on the middleweights. It's more fair for Golovkin to win. I'm talking about straight fairness. It's fair for Golovkin he's pursuing becoming undisputed. And for a guy that's not fighting real middleweights or, you know, fighting them at the actual weight limit, I think it's unfair for that guy to be a champion in that division. You know, that's just my personal opinion. You know, I know a lot of you guys might not like that because you're Canelo fans or whatever, but the dude is not fighting middleweights. He's not doing it. And if he does, he's demanding a 155 catchweight, which is 1 pound over the smaller division's weight limit. It's unfair. It's ridiculous. He's doing it every single fight. You know, how many fights has been? What, it's been like 5 fights now? Come on, like, we're getting a little ridiculous with this catchweight thing. Dude, you can't make the weight anymore at 154. Stay away from that division. Stay away from there. You know? But whatever. Listen, he's making money. It's working out for him. I understand it's a business. The business aspect of it, it's going to keep working for him. Whatever. But I just think it's unfair. Now, moving on. The last thing I wanted to speak on, all right? I don't want to go into a whole long video. It just goes to show all of this. It just goes to show how unvaluable these titles are nowadays. Boxing is oversaturated with titles, and this is a prime example of how unvaluable titles really are today, because guys are willing to just give it up. All right, I don't want that fight, so you take my belt. You know, Peter Quillen did it, you know, and now, you know, there's been other examples too, but it just goes to show that guys are willing. All right, well, listen, I don't want to take that fight. He's a mandatory. That's a guy I should be fighting, but I don't want that fight right now. So I'm not taking that fight. I'll fight him in a couple of years. And it just goes to show how unvaluable these titles are today because there's so many of them. You know, guys win them and pass them up. And that's the problem with boxing and, you know, all these organizations, and people don't care about the rules no more. Once you become a bigger star, a star, titles really don't mean anything. You know, it's only good when it comes to promoting for the fight, but the title and the linealship doesn't really matter anymore because the real guys, the real best guy is probably not even a champion because everyone ducks the best guys nowadays. You know, nobody really. Look at Kovalev and Adonis Stevenson still never fought. That's insane. At one point, they were on the same network. You know, at one point they were. And they still didn't fight each other. Even B-Hop left Showtime and went to HBO and fought Kovalev, you know? It's just insane that the belts have no value. They have very little value nowadays. But guys are just stars. Whatever. I'll fight you whenever. Just give up the belt. Give up the WBC belt, you know? And it's sad, you know, that the ranking system, this is why I can't go based off the rankings and even the mandatory sometimes. Sometimes you just wonder, how the hell did this guy become a mandatory? You know? Not because they're not popular. It's just like, how the hell did certain fighters get to the point where they get? Some guys get removed totally off the rankings. You know, they lose a fight. And for some fighters, they remain in the top 5. Yet, there's other fighters that get totally removed. You know, like the Austin Trout situation. You know, or the Sean Porter situation after he lost to Kell Brook. So, it's you know, boxing, it's foul. It's a dirty sport. It's a dirty game, you know. And I was talking about a little bit of this before when I was comparing, you know, MMA. But I don't want to go too much into that. I just wanted to give you my thoughts. I'm upset the fight is probably not going to happen. I'm upset, but, you know, there's other good fights for Golovkin. You know, hopefully he gets the Daniel Jacobs fight. That's a good fight. Hopefully we get the Saunders fight soon. If not this year, maybe next year. You know, that's a good fight. I think now that the whole WBC catchweight era is over, I'm kind of happy that's over. Okay, we're over. We're done with that. The lineal championship is back to a real middleweight now. So I am at least glad about that. But outside of that, I am disappointed that the fight didn't happen. Canelo, you know, Pacquiao, I don't think the Pacquiao fight is going to happen, you know, because, you know, Pacquiao at this point, you know, he's made enough money in the game to really go up and fight a big guy like that. Oh crap, something just fell over in my kitchen. What was I saying? Pacquiao doesn't really need to, you know. I just don't think Canelo's going to want to come down to a catchweight, and I don't believe Pacquiao is going to move up and fight Canelo at 155. I just don't think he's going to do it at this point in his career. But I do think the Lemieux fight is possible, and I do think the Saunders fight is possible too. If not those, maybe someone else at 154, you know, or maybe a middleweight that's not so great. You know, maybe even I heard a fight critic say Curtis Stevens. That fight is possible too. So all those fights are possible. But anyway, yeah, let me know what you guys think, man. I don't want to make the video too long. I'm gonna cut it short here. It's already 20 minutes in. You know, I'm mad, but I'm like, at least all the nonsense is over, and these guys can move on and do what they got to do. It was a clear duck, and Canelo could get back to doing what he does. Yeah, his legacy, it might bother, it mess it up a little bit, but, you know, it is what it is. You know, that's boxing for you, all right? Peace.